And whenever I was on Mauritius, I always had a nice tea and beautiful cookies. I remember the coffee breaks at Morturko, and they were the tea
Mhm.
breaks at Morturko. And I remember I always was looking forward to the tea and especially the cookies, I have to say.
You keep telling us about the cookies, so I guess next year we should come and really
Ha
taste the cookies.
have some cookies. Darren, you have to.
Forget Vidol Puri.
What's the name of the cookie?
No, it's not. It's like a pancake, immersion pancake. Dal puri.
Okay. Mhm.
Or you could try the manioc biscuits.
Manioc.
Yes, manioc. Definitely. So we have already a list that we want to try next time we visit Mauritius. So yes, please, maybe we can just start, Andreas, Luis.
Fantastic. So let's continue our journey. And I would like to sum up a little bit talking about sustainability communication, what it is, because that's a summer session. And then I'm extremely delighted to have Sarah with me. I will introduce you, Sarah, in a moment. But if you jump further the next slide, I can start that discussion. Look, back in 1999, there was the first time people were talking about the internet. The Clue Train Manifesto talks about that markets are conversation. So I would like to highlight at this very moment again that the conventional and the new authentic ways of marketing are very different in that sense. And I would like to highlight that again here. We showed you this picture starting with yourself, your region, your guests, your suppliers, and back to our planet, that communication is not a single aspect for us at this project. Communication is a natural part of your sustainability management, because the things you're doing, the things to be talked up in the break, they are so much interesting stories for your future customers that all your customer touch points can become your communication touch points. And sustainability management supports sustainable communication and vice versa. So we believe the way you manage your network is also the way you communicate within your network. So that's the beauty of sustainable communication and sustainable management. If you jump into the next, I summed it up again, that for me, sustainability management is successful communication. Because if markets are conversations, people talk about the things you're doing, then you can really use these two mega trends right now. These are mega trends on the world, sustainability and digitalization. You can really use this to really create digital stories around that. And any authentic, sustainable product, any good stories that you create are multiplied for free. So there are some aspects where you have to pay for, because of course you might have a different marketing campaign, but if your story is really good, you really get it for free. And your employees, again, we mentioned it in some of the workshops before, are the best customer touch points. Once you're running again and you're operative again, the way you embed your employees in your sustainable stories, that's where you also create the touch points to your guests. And together with your suppliers, as Made Maurice and all the aspects we brought into that workshop, is when you are having co-creative experiences with your suppliers, you have a double network. You have your suppliers network and your own network. So that's brilliant. So for us, sustainable communication is the end and the beginning. It's the end of this workshop because we are communicating the things you have done, but it's also the beginning, because the way you interact with your customers will be inspiration maybe for new things you are doing. So this is a different way of looking at communication and marketing. I brought you only 4 examples from the world, which are in the next slide, that I would love to introduce to you before I go into the interview. On the top side, you see Foodworld Tourism, which is a website describing, and I put you the website in. They have entrepreneurs, the digital nomads like me, for example, or Luis or whatever, Kartika, we love to be at a nice place, work remotely, and then interact. So if I have a chance to be in a village somewhere on the Mauritius, and this food world tourism combines my place where I have internet and everything with local visits to entrepreneurs, like to handicraft people, to all the aspects. So it's a very interesting approach how you can design that future for digital nomads. Up there, another example for Valpo-Schiavi, that's a whole valley where they cooperate with producers and restaurants and hotels, and they created the slogan 100% Valpo-Schiavo. In every menu, in every restaurant you see, if that menu comes 100% out of that valley, you get that stamp. So it's a very brilliant way of marketing and communication, which runs, by the way, viral. That's why I'm bringing that examples. And down there, you have a Creative Hotel Luise, that's in Germany. They designed a room that is regrowing. Everything in that room is compostable, except some electrics. But everything else is compostable. So you can put the whole room in your garden, and it's composting. So it's a regrowing room. And this room got hell a lot of marketing for free. And down there is a bike made from a corporation, a social cooperative made of wood, a bike totally out of bamboos from Africa, from a social entrepreneur that delivers that bamboos, that wood, and it's installed in Germany. So these are wooden bikes that are totally went viral. A lot of people are buying that. So some examples on that. But now let me introduce you Sarah Santa Croce today. And Sarah, very welcome to the stage. So I'm very happy to have you here today, talking with me about your book, about your really brilliant campaign, which I love so much, the idea of a gentle business revolution based on gentle marketing. So Sarah, I'm happy to have you here. Just to shortly introduce you to this audience here today. You're internationally recognized as a LinkedIn specialist and online presence mentor. You work with nearly 2,000 people on their presence, on making marketing and online presence. You have over 10 years experience on that. And once upon a time, you thought, this is not the right way we do marketing. We might change that. We might start a new way of thinking. And you just published a book about this gentle revolution that you want to start and you are standing for. And I like that very much. We met last week, and I'm happy to have you here today, Sarah. Thanks so much for joining.
Delighted to be here, Andreas. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we really only know each other for like a week, and yet already we know that we're like-minded, and I'm so glad to be here among your people. Thank you.
Great. So I'm taking you from Switzerland now to Mauritius, and I would like to start to you with a question, because you know so much about that marketing communication. And there is this beautiful book, The Market Rebellion, The Most Human Company Wins, which is by Mark Schaefer, who you know. He talks about the third consumer rebellion. So there is a rebellion, a revolution going on in the consumer. And how actually, what does it mean, that kind of rebellion that Mark Schaefer talks about? What is changing?
Yeah, you mentioned before the Clue Train Manifesto. So kind of when the internet started, right, we thought we're on to a whole new different era, and we were, and that's really when everything digital started, and we went crazy about digitalizing everything, and that worked well for us for quite some time now. But what's happening now, and what Mark is referring to, is really this kind of like too much of automation, too much of digitalization. In a way, we lost track. Like you said so well earlier, the Clue Train Manifesto said, it's a conversation. It has to be an exchange between humans. The internet was built with the idea of connecting more human beings. And for some reason, though, we lost that human connection. It became more sophisticated, more automated, more technology. That's what happened to marketing. And so what Mark is saying, what I'm also agreeing with, is that people had enough of that. It's like, all right, we know, you can use all these algorithms to bombard us with your ads and things like that. It's just no longer working for us. We're smarter than that. We have been around the internet for a while now. And so nothing phases us anymore. It's like, you want to, be aggressive and hypey in your marketing. I'm not impressed. I don't feel like I want to belong to a brand that treats me that way with their communication and marketing. So that's what this rebellion is all about. It's kind of like, let's find back to the human connection.
And Sarah, if you look at this crisis right now, because we heard today that Mauritius is slowly opening up again, markets are opening up again. What is your perception about this crisis? What do consumers really want after that crisis? How do you perceive? Is there a change going on? What was your feeling about that that movement or this crisis, and what happens after that crisis?
Yeah, so it's interesting because Mark, he wrote his book before COVID. I wrote it during COVID, and clearly COVID contributed to this revolution or rebellion. It was like what needed to happen. It's like when things are not working, they're really not working. And that's what happened for us during COVID. And so I think COVID really, as we all know, it gave us this pause to reflect. And what happened during this pause is that a lot of people's values changed. Things that were important before are less important now. Things that seemed so logical to do seem less logical now. So a lot during a crisis, people's values change, and especially this has been 18 months or more. So yeah, different perspectives, and when it comes to tourism, different wants and needs, right? Yes, everybody is probably right now dying to go travel again, but they probably will look at travel in a different way than they did before. I know for myself, when we're thinking about traveling, things are not the same. And so maybe, usually we would go and sit at a beach somewhere, but now it's like, well, we've been doing nothing for 18 months. Maybe it's time to add some adventure or some exploring different cultures into this vacation, because we've been missing this human connection so much as well, that we don't just want to be in an impersonal kind of setting. We want to meet people, and we want to, get to know the culture of the country. So yeah, I think a lot of things have changed during the crisis.
Well, that's very well fitting, I guess, to the things we are discussing here, really, to have interaction again and authentic experiences and all that. So from your point of view, Sarah, what's the way forward in communication and marketing? What would you recommend? Because you're so much in that. What is the conclusion maybe from your book? And by the way, it's a very nice book. I just have it here. Just got it. It's very nice to work with that from my point of view, because I'm also a small company in that sense. What's the way forward?
Yeah, the way forward, and I really liked, I just got to hear the last few minutes of your conclusion, I guess, from a breakout room. And Louise was mentioning partnerships, and that is such a key point. What I did is I kind of looked at the 7 Ps of marketing, which is a concept that has existed for a long time, but I looked at it from a more conscious perspective and kind of gave it a new fresh air, if you want. And so one of the P's is actually partnership. I really think going forward, partnership is going to be essential in communication, and especially because it brings people or companies together whose values are aligned. And then it attracts or resonates with more people who are aligned with these values. So partnership is a big one going forward, and just really rethinking about your conscious customers, what they really want. And it's some of the things we already mentioned. They want more, they want to be heard and seen. And that's in comparison to what they've been used to these last 20 years. And that has nothing to do with being heard and seen. In the digital world, you are not heard and seen. You are just one number. And again, I was like, clapping my hands when I heard Louis say that someone was using FaceTime as a way to interact with their customers. You can't go more personal than that, right? So yeah, that's what people want. They want more belonging, more connection, more purpose, and they search for that also in their travels and vacations.
Great. Last question to you. It really fits to all the discussion we had here, Sarah. Even you were not present, but it really fits into the context. You're talking in your book about the 4 steps describing a new marketing within. I love the frame marketing within, because marketing often is external, but marketing within. What are these 4 steps to have an appetizer into that? And that's my last question to you before we go further into the next workshop part.
Yeah, so it always starts with awareness, and I think the people present here, they wouldn't be here if there wasn't already this awareness saying, we got to do something differently, right? The way it's worked for now is no longer working. We need to do it differently. So that's the first thing. And maybe also paying attention to what's out there, what you see, competitors do or colleagues do, and pay attention to the things that you like. And also pay attention to the things that you don't like, or that you're like, well, that's definitely not how I want to do it, or that's what I think is no longer resonating with the conscious tourist. So paying attention, awareness is the first step. The second step is really going into your story, thinking about what it is you bring to the table, how you are different. So rumbling with that story and really recognizing how you want to bring more of your stories. And you mentioned that kind of in the previous slide. It's like, well, you have these great stories, they need to be told. So that's the second step. And the third step would be, or they're kind of like at the same level, give yourself permission to actually say, okay, I'm going to do it differently. It's like, well, probably someone like that hotel with the regrowing room. Well, that has never been done before. And so it's easy to think, yeah, but is this going to work? Shouldn't I be just continue to run Facebook ads? Well, give yourself permission to really be unique and go with that, because that's what's going to do. It's these stories that people can connect with. And as you said, that's free marketing in a way, right? So that permission, and then, yeah, bringing more of you to your marketing. And by that, I mean also looking at the founder's story. So I don't know how big the companies are that are present here, but you often, the founder is the story. So also, if people want to belong to a company, they also want to know who are the people behind the company. So it's kind of like no longer the case where we're hiding behind a brand. People are not interested in brands anymore so much. They are interested in the story of the founder or of the brand and the values, the worldview. So be brave, be courageous, and stand up for these values that you believe in, and yeah, communicate about them.
Thanks so much, Sarah, for all these insights. And it's very resonating also with the way you set up your business. So it's very authentic in the way you have done that. I put all the contacts in the chat. So if you feel like looking at, Sarah has also a beautiful podcast about gentle marketing. I think that is a very good source also for Get Inspiration. Sarah, thanks so much for joining today, getting impulses, and Have a great time. We will see each other, I guess, soon in some other events. Thanks for joining today.
Hope so. Take care. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.